By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to get better at cutting hair. I mean, better fades, better tapers, and just have straight bars all around. And what allowed me to be able to cut like this, and like this. So if you have been trying to improve as a barber and no one has been giving you the sauce, then you're watching the right video, because I have your back. I'm Pablo. I'm a licensed professional barber, and I help barbers make $10,000 plus a month just from cutting hair. So watch the full video and you'll know what it takes to become a better barber and what allowed me to become one of the best barbers in my city. So with that being said, let's not waste any time and get straight to business. So number one is you need to learn how to cut your own hair and cut your own hair good. Because when you're a beginner barber, or even if you've been in the game for a year or two, when you cut someone and let's say you didn't try your best or it didn't come out that good, you don't know what it feels like to walk out with the haircut. You know, you might feel bad like, oh, I messed up his haircut. You might tell the homie, you might tell your brother, bro, I messed up on this cut. I feel bad. But you don't know what it feels like to have a fucked up haircut, a bad haircut. So try cutting yourself and you'll notice, you'll notice the level of concentration that it requires to cut your own hair is completely different from cutting someone else, because you're up there in the mirror, everything is reversed. So you need to be very meticulous, very, on point, because if not, you're gonna mess yourself up. It's gonna be hard, but that's the value in it. It's hard, right? And once you're able to execute this, it's gonna be hard the first time. That's just human nature. Anything is hard the first time until you get used to it. Repetition, do it over and over, and you'll notice each time you'll be able to execute a self-cut with more ease, better than you were last time, with more confidence. And that confidence will translate into cutting hair. It'll translate into your barber business. This will allow you to make more money and get better extremely quick. So learn how to cut your own hair. It seems very simple, but just like in anything, it's the small things that really matter. Small things with consistency and discipline, and actually having the intention to get better. Because if you're just cutting your own hair and going with the motion, it's not really gonna work. You might get better, but we're here to be great. Once you're able to execute a self-cut with ease, now get really good at it. If you did a decent taper on yourself last week, now this week aim for a great taper. And then the following week aim for a flawless taper. And that should become your natural norm. Because like I said, it'll translate into your barber business. Every client that sits in your chair, you have the confidence, okay, he's gonna leave satisfied. That's when you'll see more money. That's when you'll see more tips. Clientele is retained. That's what allowed me to make $10,000 plus a month, and others that I've helped just from cutting hair. Number two is master one fading technique. You don't want it to be scattered around, learning this technique, learning how to fade up, learn how to fade down, too much clip over comb. That's next level. That is completely separate from mastering your skill at the beginning of your barber career. And knowing how to do one fading technique first and mastering it will save you about 3 years of just development. I'm gonna give you a scenario. There's two barbers, barber one and barber two. Barber one, you give them 3 years, Boom. Barber one has spent 3 years mastering just one technique. Barber two has spent 3 years trying to master about 5. By the end of those 3 years, they're both extremely great barbers. But I'm going with barber one because I know he mastered it. Whatever cut I get, whether it's a fade or a taper or burst fade, I know the blend is gonna be perfectly or just well executed. I know that's all he's been mastering. It's repetition. That's how you get good at things. You do one thing over and over and over and over until it becomes second nature. I'm not saying don't learn more than one technique. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying master one technique before moving on to another. That is how you will get better at cutting hair extremely fast. So master one fading technique. Those two things so far will do miraculous things for you. More money, more clientele, more structure, more confidence. Next is you need to listen to your clients. Even if You know, X, Y, and Z might look better on them, but if they want a specific thing, you gotta listen to them. Some clients like a lot of bulk. Some clients don't like bulk. You know, both cuts might look good. You might think this looks good, but if the client wants this and you know it's not gonna look as good, you give it to him. But you have to tell them, like, hey, are you sure you want this? Let me give you an example. So I was cutting this kid one time, you know, teenager, Edgar cut, full on bulk, low taper, and his lineup was extremely low. I should have asked him, yo, how exactly do you want your lineup? This a few years back. But I didn't. So I did it however I thought it was gonna look good. So I lined him up, You see how my lineup has a box? His was super low. I give him a little box, you know, because his lineup came low, so I know it's not gonna be super high or at his natural lineup. Boom. It looked like he was shy at the end of the cut. He looked in the mirror. He said, okay, yeah, this is fine, cool. Pays me. And later in the day, he tells me, yo, bro, my lineup is a little bit too high, but it's fine, but just for next time, just so you know, just keep it just a little lower. And that taught me a very valuable lesson, which is listen to your clients. It is extremely important because most barbers out here, they don't give a fuck about their clients, or they're biased. Certain clients, they get better service. No. You're not supposed to do that. Listen to all your clients. That's how you'll retain it. If you know your client, you understand his head shape. You're supposed to understand his hair pattern, his head shape better than he does. He's supposed to sit in the chair, not do too much talking, and just get the haircut that he wants. Like in that example, as I stated, dude's lineup was crispy. His shit was crispy. I can tell any barber, any top tier barber in my city or anyone that I know, hey, does this haircut look fire? They're gonna say, hell yeah, that shit is clean. he about to step out tonight, and he still didn't like it. So the client is always right, regardless of your skill set, what you think. Just make sure with them, client consultation. How exactly do you want your lineup? It's not even lineup. How exactly do they want their haircut? Client consultation. If a client can sit in your chair and get exactly what they want, you're gonna retain them for as long as you cut hair, because they can't just get that with any other barber. Every barber runs their business completely different. So, and I'm gonna give you a bonus one, because I'm feeling nice, I'm feeling generous, is have good conversation with your clientele. Actively listen. Some clients, you don't know what they're going through. They might have a long week, stressful week, X, Y, and Z. Sometimes they just look forward towards a haircut. You don't know the number of times a client has sat in my chair, I dab him up, I'm like, what's up, bro? How's your day going? He's like, hey, I just been looking been looking towards this haircut. I'm gonna see what I get into after this, because a haircut always makes me feel better. Always. Man, I'm telling you, have good conversation with them. Ask them how's their day going, X, Y, and Z. You have to be there for them. You have to be their friend. Even if they're not your friend, as long as they're sitting in your chair, they're your friend. It's human psychology, human nature that every human wants to feel important. Every human wants to feel understood. And if you can understand your clients, especially their haircut, their head shape, how exactly they want the small details, and if you can give them good conversation, you're in the top 1% of barbers, off the bat. The amount of barbers you will retain it's unmatched. It's the small things that add up. Now you're skyrocketing your business. Now you're making $10,000 a month. And you have to respect yourself, because when you respect yourself, others respect you. Like I said, simple. You do these things, at first they're not gonna be easy, but they're simple. Repetition. So, if you wanna get better at cutting hair, master one fading technique first before moving on to another. Learn how to cut your own hair. Listen to your clients. Give good conversation to your clientele and actively listen. That's why you were born with 2 ears, so you can listen to them. And sign up to my email list, link down below. You will get lots of free game that never makes it to social media, no Instagram, no TikTok, no YouTube. strictly down below. You will get game only if you sign up. So hit the link down below, and I'm gonna see y'all next time. Bruh.